everyone. Welcome to At Home with Sally. I'm Sally Clarkson, and I have the biggest privilege in the world to be with so many friends from all over the world who join me every week to listen to my stories, inspiration, biblical encouragement, and I am just so glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for joining me. Hello, my friends. It's Sally Clarkson. Welcome to one of my favorite podcasts of the week. Actually, it is my favorite podcast right now. It's Tea Time Tuesday. And so I hope that at least some of you can take this time to find a comfy chair, or maybe you can even sit up in your bed, or that you can find a mug of something wonderful. For me, it would be tea, chai, or coffee, but probably it would be tea. As a matter of fact, as soon as I'm through with this podcast, I am going to go light my candles and make a cup of afternoon tea because it's been a long day. But anyway, grab a cup of tea, take a deep breath, and let's just spend some time together. I think all through the week, all of these things I'm going to say to you about Tea Time Tuesdays, but then I forget to write them down, and I think of a myriad of new things by the time I get there. But this week I have had 3 very special times. I have a lot of my people, meaning my children, my family, and my friends, and getting letters from dear friends who are all going through a really challenging time. Aren't many of us. I get so many letters of weary ones, of people who are going through disasters. I have a very, very dear friend, one of my best friends, longest friends, who just barely eked out from the tornadoes in Kentucky. And I know that's such devastation, and there's so many things going on. And I was talking to one of my dear friends, and we talked about the fact, and this is a tea time quote today, that our personal defense against hard times has been honest and heartfelt fellowship with a friend, accompanied by steaming cups of tea and something wonderful to eat. This week, as some of you know from listening to my podcast yesterday, I, for the first time in the past 2 years since I have been here, you need to know that London is very close to me. It's just about 57 minutes. I hop on a train less than 10 minutes from my house. I arrive in London. It's fun to ride through the countryside. I can listen to my music, and then I'm right there in London. And so I supposed that as we were taking a sabbatical, and then when we were going to do this year of missions, that I would be able to meet Sarah, who is an hour and 34 minutes from there, several times for the day, and then she could go home. I also planned on going there with Joy because we have friends that are there. But because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to go. And so last week I said to Sarah, meet me. You can bring the baby. She could have brought the little ones, but she had a friend who had volunteered to take care of them and play with them for the day. So Sarah hopped on her train. I hopped on my train. And we met in London, supposing that we would probably do Christmas shopping or look at clothes or do some fun things. But we kind of went from having coffee in the morning and talking. And then we walked around different places near Covent Gardens and Trafalgar Square and all the areas around. And then after walking for several hours, we were so cold, we went to another little place where we split a sandwich and talked again for another hour and a half. And then this weekend we stayed up and talked. And as soon as I got home, Joy, my daughter Joy, had written me a note and said, Mama, how about if we have a girls' night out and you can come over to my house and we'll have dinner together. We'll order something out from a fast food place. And we will talk. We'll do facial masks. She loves to do masks for many years. And put on our pajamas and be friends. And so we talked and woke up talking this morning. And so and then I was with my friend Jackie this week. You all know that she's my adventure friend. We go once a week. We try to go to someplace really fun together because she has a car and I don't. And we were talking about lots of things. So I do think that a woman alone in her own home, a man alone, but especially a woman alone in her own home, without friends, with just the mundane and the difficult task of building a home, raising a family, doing all the tasks. If you're alone in your own home, you become a target for Satan, for his discouragement of you, if you don't have a friend to lift you up. And so today I'm going to be looking at some of that our defense is to have friends, to have like-minded friends, to have Christian friends and online friends. And so we're going to be talking about that today. But you can see in the picture that I have on Tea Time Discipleship today, a really fun Tea Time Discipleship photo from my house. I knew that my son Nathan and his wife Kelia would be coming home to our Colorado house for Christmas and that we wouldn't be there, which we hate to be apart, and we probably won't be apart the next time we have a holiday. But I thought, I want to surprise them. And I want when they walk in the house, they'll go, oh my goodness, this is so much fun. And so I prepared for their coming. That's a part of the strength of tea time with friends. You prepare for them. You prepare a way, whether it's a little carnation in a vase. I have right now in one of my vases a bunch of greens, a little bird that I got that's an ornament that I hooked on, some little pine cones, and some baby's breath. And it'll last me all Christmas because there are no flowers to wilt. And it's just beautiful. It's in this big vase, a lot of greens, baby's breath, some berries, some pine cones, and a bird sitting on top of it all. But preparing for people means that when they walk into your environment or meet you in a lovely cafe or whatever, have a cup of coffee out on the bench. We have benches around here. To prepare for someone makes them feel as though they are important and they do matter. So anyway, with all these people I've been talking to, we realize that it is our defense. And so I thought, when Nathan and Kelia walk into the house, I want them to automatically feel loved and prepared for it. So I set 2 tables, and you can see one of them in the picture with Christmas plates. I hung our stockings, and I sprinkled Christmas cheer in different places around the house so that when they walked in, they would think, oh, someone thought of me. But each year for about 30 years now, I have hosted, we called it our Christmas tea. Really, it was a Christmas luncheon. And each of us girls could invite 1 or 2 people, depending on how many friends we had that year, of our best friends, the old friends. And then we would always say, are there people in our lives who are new to us, who need encouragement or who are having a hard time? So we would always have at least 2 people to invite who were, in need of special fellowship. And we made the same meal every year, the same menu. You can read about it in the Life-Giving Table. But so I kind of set my dining room table and my kitchen table with different Christmas dishes. And the thing is, I was realizing today that when Joy was 3, and she's 26 now, 23 years ago, I was in an outlet mall and I found these Christmas dishes on 50% off after the holidays. So I bought a whole bunch of them in, and those are the ones I used for many years. And then when my mama passed away, she had 2 sets of Christmas dishes in another pattern. Her mother had given her some, and she had already bought some as we grew up as kids. So I have 3 Christmas sets of dishes that are just waiting for my children to claim them. But anyway, you can see one of the sets that I set the table for. But I feel like the table, the food, the music, the candles are a way for all of us to gather together and to have a defense against the darkness. I think that I wanted to talk with you today about what that looks like in Jesus's life, because Jesus was all about relationship and friendship. he really modeled, he came to the earth to save us, but he also came to teach us and to model what real ministry is. And it's reaching hearts through relationships. And I've told you this before, but when I became a believer, I was like I was a little girl, because even though I was a young woman, I was 18 years old. I had been in church most of my life, but no one had ever really explained to me what it meant that God had created me. Specifically, he knew my personality, he knew my heart, he knew my life, my story, and that he had a purpose for me, and that he loved me, and that he had a way for me to be forgiven for all the mistakes I'd made, for all the ways I had been unloving before. So when I understood his love, I was all in. It was explained to me that once you become a believer, it changes the whole trajectory of your life. And so I read every passage I could about what Jesus was like. And I'm going to be talking to you about that today. And it really is the foundation of why I've written books, why I've done podcasts, why I've done all that I've done. It's the foundation of our membership, because we, in our family and in our own lives, love Jesus so much. We're so grateful for the ways that we have been transformed. We wanted to spend our lives in discipleship, in reaching hearts of other people, of friends. That's what this podcast is all about. But first of all, I'm going to share with you some of the things, because I know you probably love to know what are some of my favorite books, what are some of my favorite food. So I'm going to start out today with some food that's really easy. I'm into easy right now because I've been very busy. And so one of my easiest things, I love eggs because you can use them for a million things, but one of my easiest things, think of it as a crustless quiche, but it's really not. It's a frittata. And it's one of my kids and Clay's, oddly, favorite meals. And so what I do is I whip up about 4 or 5 eggs, depending on how many people are there, with just the tiniest bit of milk or cream. And then I saute our favorite vegetables that our people will consume. Not everybody likes every vegetable, but usually it's onions, mushrooms, green peppers. Clay doesn't always like the green peppers. And occasionally you can even slice some zucchini squash in, or whatever you like, scallions, whatever. And then I crumble up a little bit of either turkey bacon or real bacon or ham. And I stir the mix until the onions are translucent. And then I pour the eggs into an oiled frying pan, a heavy one that can go into the oven, actually. And then I put the eggs in, and I sprinkle all the veggies and the turkey bacon or the real bacon or ham all over, get everything all even. And then I put it over my big burner. I have a big burner on my stove. I put the lid on so that it will start cooking slowly and until it gets somewhat firm. And then I take it out off the heat. I sprinkle whatever my favorite cheese is. Usually it's either Swiss or cheddar, strong cheddar, all over the top of the eggs. It can be goat cheese. It can be feta. It can be whatever you like. But I do my either cheddar or Swiss, sprinkle it all over it. And then I put it in the broiler, under the broiler, just so that I don't usually let the handle be in the broiler because it would ruin it. But I just put the pan part under the broiler, and I broil it until the cheese is bubbly and crispy. Take it out, and then I slice an avocado in little slices, and I make a big circle of the avocados so it can look really pretty, and put it on the frittata. And then I put a dollop of sour cream, just a small one, right in the middle between the avocados, and 4 little dollops on the rest of the eggs. And then I slice it in like pizza slices. And I put a big slice of this frittata on the plates with homemade toast and some kind of fruit or applesauce. And everybody just loves it. And it's really easy and it's really fast. So that's my recipe that I'm probably going to do this week. So what about music? I had some other things here and I don't remember what it was. I had one of those days where I'd written the whole blog post out, the podcast out. My outline for the podcast, and I'd spent an hour and 15 minutes on it, and then the computer crashed, and for some reason it didn't save. It usually saves, so I had to write the whole thing over again. I probably left something out, but the music that I would like to share with you, we love the old Michael W. Smith Christmas Time. And then another thing we love is the old Amy Grant Christmas album. There's many, but then there is this Spotify playlist of Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant. And I love listening to those just when I'm working around the house because I can sing to all of them. I know all of them by heart. And then one more is I love Josh Groban's first Christmas album because he talks about I'll be home for Christmas. But it's really a sad, happy one. You know, those kind that make you cry. If only in my dreams. And so, anyway, I like that song. So I think I told you I listen to Spotify because that works best where I live. So those are my music for the week. But I know if you're like me, and I've been talking to my kids about it, I just love this new James Herriot season, or TV show series. I watched all of them last year. And of course, here in the UK, we've been able to watch them on Channel 5. In America, I think you can do it on PBS, perhaps other places. But we've watched almost the whole series, and I know that on Christmas Day, or Christmas Eve, I can't remember which one, they're going to have a new Christmas episode out. And so I think for the book I would read to my children this month, if I were you, I would get the James Herriot Treasury for Children. We have given all of our children that for their own libraries, and we read it over the years at our tea time. Such precious stories. But also, we talked about James Herriot. The girls and I went with our friend Phyllis to where he lived in Yorkshire, and we actually stayed at the Airbnb of somebody whose cats James Herriot took care of. So we heard stories. We saw where he actually worked, and it was really a lot of fun. But anyway, if you can get the book and read it slowly over the Christmas tide, it's so much fun. And you can look up all sorts of facts about Yorkshire or about animals or whatever you want. And then you can watch the TV series and say, this is the veterinarian. You can also look up biographical information about him, but it's so much fun over Christmas. And there is even a Christmas story in the book. And then as far as movies, I've been watching lots of movies here and there because I haven't seen some for a while. I can't wait to watch the new West Side Story in theaters. I've heard it's really wonderful. But one of the ones that Sarah and I especially love, Call the Midwife. And I think I like it because the whole series, it's a long series. And of course, if, it's not so much my men that like this show because they're not as much into having babies as, of course, the women are. But the reason I kind of like it is it's around an era when I was growing up in the 50s after the war. And so a lot of the clothing and a lot of the things that people did and the ways that they thought about life and Santa Claus and Christmas and work and was kind of the season in which I grew up. So I really like it. But I'm going to tell you that one of the ones that we particularly like is the Christmas special of 2015. They have many over the years, but that was so sweet. And the woman who plays Victoria in one of the Victoria and Albert series, of course, is in this episode. So that's a lot of fun. But anyway, we have a little Christmas present for some of you this year because we have been so blessed. As I look back on our lives, many of you are members of our membership, Life with Sally. And I just adore you. Thank you so much for choosing to join Life with Sally because there's Awaking Wonders, wonder episodes there. There are Bible studies I've taught on Hebrews and Proverbs and wisdom and all sorts of different things. And oddly, the Bible study series are what people listen to the most. I have had over 20 years of speaking series at conferences, and those are also there. And we have artists, musicians, books, recipes. We wanted to think through how can we create in this isolated time a membership where women can feel like they aren't alone, that they can get ideas, they can be inspired, they can find friends. There's a forum that we have. There's a Bible study that's taught by someone else that you can participate in. And so we created that a few years ago. And actually, because so many of you responded to it, we have the ability to be more stable as a ministry. We also depend on donations that people give every year, which is really wonderful. They partner with us in helping us reach missions and giving our books to different countries and all that. But as we were praying this year, we thought we looked at the life and heart of Christ and thought our whole life has always been about mentorship, discipleship, training people how to be disciples of Christ. And so there are 4 kind of basic scriptures that meant a lot to me when I became a Christian that I couldn't avoid. And one of them is, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. So as a Christian, I'm commanded to seek first God's kingdom, God's establishment on earth, his truth on earth, his virtue on earth, his kingdom ways, his kingdom love. I am to be a representative of his government, of his kingdom on earth. And there's so much I could say about the kingdom. That was one of my first verses, Matthew 6:33. But another verse that I was taught was what Christ said at the end of his life, before he disappeared into the heavenlies. And he said, go into all the world and make disciples of all the nations. And so I was taught early as a believer that God's way of reaching the world was through relationship, through making disciples of people from every country. That's why I like working here, because I meet people from every country in the world, and I can say, do they need to know the love of Christ, the light of Christ, the truth of Christ, the forgiveness of Christ, the protection of Christ? So making a disciple is cultivating with someone through relationship and understanding of what it means to know God personally. And so that's what we try to do in everything we do. We want to be a discipleship ministry. And then I looked at Matthew 9. I was taught Matthew 9, where Jesus said, it says, Jesus looked out on the multitudes with compassion. And he said, these are sheep without a shepherd. Don't you feel like there are so many people in the world today who are sheep without a shepherd? And so he said, pray that the Lord of the harvest will send laborers into the harvest. And so I took that to heart, and I thought, I'm going to pray, and I need to become one of the people I pray for, that I'll go into the world and disciple and mentor. And then another key verse for us was, of course, you shall love the Lord your God. Love as the foundation, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind and all your strength. Love, the foundation of relationship. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So there's just a little tiny corpus of verses that were so very important to me as I became a believer. So it was just natural that I took to heart that I needed to become a message maker. I needed to become a mentor of people. I needed to mentor as I learned how to mentor my children and disciple them, and they responded. Then Clay and I said, we need to mentor parents so they can know how to disciple their children. So anyway, all that to say, I'm going to read you a passage from my blog post that I wrote today to kind of focus on that picture of Christ as the one who is the discipler. He came not just to save, but to teach us how to reach the world. And his desire was to use real human beings, you and me, the poor, the rich, the young, the old, the educated, the uneducated, to reach out and give a cup of cold water in the name of Christ. So here we go. Jesus, kneeling down in the dusty floor, mingling his hands with toes, dirt, and smell, lovingly touching and firmly wiping the feet of his beloved friends, amid stench, noise, eating, laughing, living. This is the picture of what Christ wants us to do in our world as we mingle our hands to touch hearts and hands of those in our lives, reaching their hearts, their souls, and their minds with the depth of the call of his kingdom was an embracing of the reality of daily life amongst full-blooded, crusty men and women hungry to fulfill a life's purpose that captivated their deepest longings to see that their lives mattered. Jesus modeled what he wanted us to do. Jesus didn't just talk about having a ministry from a broad, tall pulpit with a resounding microphone while disappearing between sermons, but he lived deeply personal life with words and instruction, as well as integrity and generous love demonstrated in each moment of every day. And he served and he bowed his knee to meet the needs and desires of those that he loved. He taught compassion, and then he demonstrated compassion by healing the sick, touching those with leprosy, drinking water with the prostitute, holding and caressing children, feeding those who were hungry. Now, I think each of us was designed for this. We long to be a part of a great cause, an epic story. We long to belong to the hearts of someone in the world who cares for us. We can exist in the mundane moments of motherhood or marriage or work longer if we know and understand that somehow it is meaningful to our overarching life story and heritage, a history that we are passing on when we daily stoop to serve and patiently give our energy to meet the needs of others. But we long to know our lives can make a real difference, that our being alive and making right choices isn't just about duty, but it's about a heart-gripping reality that will make a purposeful impact on the lives of others, and to know that someone cares about our life sacrifices and our investment of time. It matters. We need to recognize these same needs in the heart of our children. Our children's hearts long to be a part of a great cause. Training my own children for ministry it was at the center of everything I attempted to do. Serving God, loving him, is not about knowing all the right rules or keeping them. It is about cultivating compassion in the heart of my children for a lost world, and modeling that in my home, showing them how they can be a part of his great plans for them to reach their world in the lifetime. I wrote about this in the Mom Walk, one of my books, and we told our children about it. Then we would have parties, and we would have gatherings, and we would have Bible studies, and we would have birthday parties and tea parties in our home, and invite people who may not have ever heard about Christ, and they were a part of our hospitality, and we would pray together for them. They worked at our conferences. Paul and Peter were willing, and they joyfully sacrificed their lives. They died for Christ's kingdom because they deeply understood they were a part of the movement of the Spirit of God to redeem the world for their Creator. They were kingdom laborers. The passion in their heart gave them the power to serve. Service without heart kills the soul. Duty and hard work without the heart kills the spirit. And so we seek to disciple our children. It's cultivating in them a vision for their importance to Christ's work, a hope that they are needed to fulfill the kingdom cause with the unique personality and skills that they have. Not just one type, not just one way. And then we give them practice in serving others as they grow up in our homes. Our homes, the center of life, of ministry, of the vibrant life of Christ. It is about our children watching us serve and being caught up in the beauty of our loving, giving, serving, and inspiring others from the integrity and compassion of our own hearts and lives. So hearing about ministry, seeing ministry take place, and giving them a place to serve and be needed is the process of captivating our children's hearts. That's our goal. With a passion that will last them their whole lives. That's the process of shaping them into lifelong disciples, making disciples of Christ. Discipleship is not about indoctrination. Discipleship is heart work. Several years ago, as all of you know, and I mentioned it earlier, our ministry team wanted to extend this encouragement and inspiration to women all over the world. And I've been at this, if you can imagine, for over 40 years. I've mentored, I've discipled women personally in small groups and Bible studies through events and conferences. In the past 2 decades, God has also allowed me to touch more lives in many states and internationally through my books and blogging and podcasts and webinars. I really love connecting with women in all these ways, but we created Life with Sally to be a unique online community where people could come to this place to be discipled. And I hope it'll be a breath of fresh air for all of you all. As an older mother, particularly now that I have 4 grown children, I'm still meeting with them, 3 beloved grandchildren. I invest my time here in the membership to give back to moms like you wisdom and truth that I learned along the way. So our membership, Life with Sally, helps to support our ministry, our staff, our projects, our missions, all that I already told you about. But we're so appreciative of everyone. We thought, I wonder if this year we could give back, especially to people who could never afford to help us. Know that we are very grateful for those of you who can become members and can pay for your membership every month. But we recognize that there are people who have lost their jobs, have lost a spouse, have lost their house, that they really can't do anything to be a part of our membership. And so we wanted to ask you to help us this year. First of all, if you can't afford a membership, or if you know of someone who can't afford a membership but needs encouragement, we want to offer as many scholarships for a year to people who would like to be a part but just can't make ends meet right now to do it. And so we have a form on my blog. There will be a place to connect on Instagram. We'll try to leave that place also on Facebook if we can make it work. And we would like for you to fill out the form or fill out the form for your friend and let us know what your needs are, why this is a difficult year for you. And then we'll hope to be able to give memberships away as a Christmas gift from Whole Heart Ministries to many of you this year. So I just hope you have a wonderful week, my friends. I hope that you're enjoying these holidays. I watched my Sarah this weekend and I thought, I don't know how she's still alive. She never stops. The 3 children, 3 and under, with a husband who works many long hours. And it made me think of all of you. It made me think of those with adult children, grandchildren, teenagers, all the different stages, the preteens, the toddlers, the babies. And I'm praying for you. I don't know if you've gotten sleep in 1,000 years, because I'm sure Sarah hasn't. But I just want you to know that we are praying for you this week. And as you sit down to eat, this is my last quote for the day because we've talked about fellowship. This is from the Life-Giving Table. It says, every meal should be a celebration of life itself as we break bread and enter fellowship together. Every meal should be a celebration of life itself. So, my friends, I hope that you have a great week. I hope you have finished your cup of tea. I'm going to get mine right now, but I just want to pray for you. Dear Heavenly Father, I am so thankful that so many years ago you helped me to know your love, a relationship with you, that you were personal, that you helped me to fall in love with the story of Christ, the way that he entered the world as a common man so that all people could identify with him. And I just pray, Father, that you will truly help my friends to understand that love this season of the year. And Lord, bring our way those people who are hurting, who are having difficulty, that might be able to be encouraged by our membership. Thank you for how you've provided for us through the many people we feel like they're part of our team. They've supported our ministry financially. They've joined the membership. Bless each and every one of them, Lord, and bless the ones who will be joining, that it might encourage their hearts as well. Thank you so much, Lord, for allowing Clay and me to be a part of what your Holy Spirit was doing in the world. and for letting us be a part of it through Whole Heart Ministries. We just love you, and I pray that each who hear this today can know that right where they are, in their neighborhood, their family, their friends, their work, that you can use them to extend your grace and your love and your goodness and your gentleness to those in their lives, that this is how the kingdom of God spreads. Bless them with the ability to be strong, the ability to be patient, the ability to receive your mercy and grace. I pray in Jesus' name, amen. Well, my friends, have a great week. And I'm going to ask you to do something today. If you liked the podcast today, this is another way that you can help us. Would you share this podcast online with your friends? This is a thing. I really don't care about numbers. I'm too old for that. I really care about, Lord, in the next few years of my life before I see you face to face, what would you have me do to encourage and to love and to inspire more people? But we consider you, our precious friends in our audience, as those who might know of a friend who might be encouraged by this today. So would you help me spread the word just by sharing it with someone? I hope that it will be an encouragement to them. I hope it was an encouragement to you. And thank you so much for all your notes and letters. It means so much to me. It keeps me going. I send my love and my prayers for you today. Bye-bye, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today and that you'll join me next week. Be sure to look for more inspiration on my blog at sallyclarkson.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.